I'm going to demonstrate making one mug blank here, but it may be worth doing this in multiples, 2s and 3s, so you have a few mugs to work on and experiment with the different fluting techniques and the different handle making processes as well. We're working with about 8 to 10 millimeter thickness of clay to make this soft slab pot. I'm going to make the base of the mug first. I've deliberately included some air bubbles here so you can see how I remove those. Use the end of the rolling pin that you're going to wrap your clay around as a template to cut the bottom of the mug blank. Put this aside now and we'll get onto the body of the mug. When rolling a slab, always press the clay down with your hands first. It'll save a lot of time and a lot of stickiness won't evolve on the rolling pin. If you're good at pastry rolling and you can get an even thickness, then go by eye and get to that 8 to 10 millimeter thickness. But if you want to be exact or just to check your work, then stick a pair of battens that are the right thickness by the side of the piece and roll over the top, and that will confirm or bring it to the correct thickness. Square up the edge of the slab. Then cut another line parallel to that, and that will give you the height of your mug. And cut one end of the slab at a right angle to that. Slight variation from the original soft slab mug that we made here. Because we've got a bit of thickness to our walls, we can actually do a tapered joint, which is a lot tidier. Put a wrap of newspaper around your template. This is a fence post, or your rolling pin may work. Your newspaper oversails the bottom of the rolling pin, and you fold that so that it covers the bottom of the rolling pin as well. Roll the clay around the rolling pin, and when it reaches 360, just put a little bit of pressure on and it'll create a line in the clay. Made a deliberate mistake for illustration purposes here, and my slab wasn't quite long enough, so I'm just going to gently roll over the thing a little bit more, and that will increase the length. And back to that lightly indented line, I'm now going to cut that at 45 degrees to match the joint line on the other side of the pot. I'm going to serrate both surfaces for the joint. I'm applying slip to both those edges, and then I'm going to roll them so that they stick together. When they touch each other, they'll stick immediately, and you can lift them up and then force the joint together, oscillate a bit and press, wipe with a palette knife, and that should give you a really tidy and secure joint. Make sure your clay is oversailing the end of the rolling pin by the thickness of the base that you're going to insert. Also make sure that there's no newspaper jammed between these surfaces when you smear them together. Throttle in the end of the pot so that this joint is nice and snug. Then with a finger or thumb just start smearing the wall of the clay over the base. You can put your mug blank onto a board now and remove the rolling pin from the center. After that, spiral out the newspaper and you can see and work on the joints that you've left inside. Smooth off the vertical joint and the base joints with a palette knife or a turning tool, and then we're going to insert a worm of clay just to make sure that that bottom joint is well filled. Make a small coil of clay, wrap it around the rolling pin to give you the right diameter, and then that can be dropped into the bottom of the pot and melded in at the joint. I'm just going to squeeze and pinch the top edge of the mug just so that it doesn't appear it's its full thickness. The rest of the pot will be fluted away, but this top rim will remain the full thickness of your slab. So it's nice to thin that out a bit so that it maybe comes about 5 mil. I'm just going to drop a tapered mug into the rim just to square everything back up from where I've been squeezing it and slightly distorting it. I'm going to leave the pot now for half a day, 12 hours maybe, in a domestic room temperature, just to firm it up a little bit, and then I can put the foot ring I've just rolled and use some cookie cutters to cut out 2 concentric circles. Mark, score and slip that on, making sure that the clay for the foot ring and the mug are about the same moisture level to prevent differential shrinkage and one peeling off later on in the game. Generous amount of slip on both parts, and then fix them together with a bit of oscillation and a bit of pushing pressure. Be careful that you don't distort the bottom of your mug as you push this into place. Make a judgment on it now, how much air you need to get to it, whether it needs to firm up a bit more, ready for your fluting and handle exercise, or whether you want to wrap that up in plastic to stop it losing any moisture. So apart from a little bit of fettling, if you think it needs it, your mug blank is ready for your fluting and handle application. And have a look at the demonstration on this, and then have a go at that when you're ready. Cheers.